Welcome to Electric Lawn Talk. Each week, the electric lawn care professionals get together to talk about the electric lawn and landscape business and have some fun along the way. Whether you are in the business, thinking of getting started, or just want to hear the tips, tricks, struggles, and victories of the move to electric, you are in the right place. Let's get started.
How y'all doing? I'm Sean with Luminary Lawns in Bel Air, Maryland, and this is Electric Lawn Talk. On today's episode, I'll be co-hosting with
Sandy with Electric Turf Pros from Tampa, Florida.
We took last week off as most of the ELT crew was out in Louisville, Kentucky for the Expo, the world's largest trade show for the lawn care industry. Sandy and I weren't able to make it to the show this year, so we thought we'd take this opportunity to grill the rest of the crew on what they saw and learned and what they're most looking forward to over the next year and beyond.
And don't forget that before we get started and jump in, we want to remind everyone to make sure to go ahead and follow us on all major platforms. And don't forget to leave a rating and review, as it will help us out immensely. And if you also want to join the conversation, we also have a LinkedIn group, and you can go ahead and check us out at Lawn Care Professionals, also known as ELCP. And you go ahead and follow us there and also jump in the conversation, chat with us, connect with us, and see what's going on our end. And now to kick things off, we're just going to go through a couple quick introductions. And we'll go ahead and start with Steven from EcoMow Dallas. Go ahead, Steven, kick us off.
Yeah, hey, Steven here from EcoMow Dallas. Glad to be here. Excited for the session tonight.
Hey everyone, William here with Green MowCo up in Olney, Maryland. Very happy to be here.
Yes, sir. This is Jarmar with Peaceful Lawn and Garden LLC down here in Houston, Texas.
And I'm Daniel over here with Electrawn.
Perfect. Thanks everyone for that. So tell me everyone, have you guys all recovered from the trip? For the most of you guys, it's been the first time you've been there, so...
Yeah. It's definitely been my first time. I've heard so much about it. The Godfather, a.k.a. the Sod Father. Michael Reed of Quiet Lawn was really instrumental in letting me know like the benefits of being able to go. So it was an amazing experience. We're getting back in town, trying to get everything caught up. My crews didn't burn anything down while I was gone for the whole 4 or 5 days. So I'm just happy that we still got a business after I came back.
That's always a bonus.
Yeah, no, it was great. I think going to see equipment is like going to a car show, right? It's fun to look and see it, and some of it is pre-production and never know when it's going to come out. Greenworks had some great launches and different things. We saw a few things from a lot of different companies. Some of it we can get now, some of it we'll be waiting to get. But I'd say that coupled with some of the software pieces, and I know we'll get into it later. It was great to see everything. Great to connect with you guys, and really looking forward to kind of digging into all the different pieces we saw, and had some exciting things for sure.
Steven, you looking a little rough over there. How you doing?
Man, I had a good time. I came home and gosh, I think I got the flu or something. I must have just been going too hard and just wore myself out. It was a blast, man. It really was. And just to go to an event like that where everybody's there, I mean, it was just so big. It was massive. And it was like Christmas Day where everybody that just makes anything related to what we do was there. Everybody had their A game on. Hanging out with you guys was just incredible. Jarmar and I spent a lot of time together. We did exactly what we said we wanted to do. That was, talk to all these software providers that were out there. I told you guys last week that, I was going to keep my expectations low going into it. And I did. And you know what? I was just blown away, man, to see my guys at Ego that I've worked with for, a long time. It's great to see them, to see the Greenworks trailer set up, in person, just to see how cool that was with, the 25 or 30 kilowatt or 50 I don't know how big the battery was, but with the screens inside and the whole thing, they had a setup going on, Steel had a thing going on. Just connecting with everybody that we've worked with for over the last few years and, spending time with you guys, getting to meet Michael in person, going out on 4th Street Live and just staying up later than we needed to. Yeah. And we had a great time. And Jarmar and I, we hopped on the scooters too. Remember the little line?
Scooter. Yes, sir.
So we even took a Lime scooter ride down to the event from the hotel. So,
and almost died.
It almost died. Well, the brakes didn't work on mine. I think it was the second scooter ride. If you remember, we parked them in the wrong spot. And we thought we parked them in the right spot. And then we had to go move them again to park them in the legal parking zone. So, man, it was just a great I wish there was another one next week.
Yeah, it was very fun. I think what I got out of it mostly was really just hanging out with you guys in person. We don't always get to do that. Having that, experience one-on-one with a lot of you guys and trying to absorb as much knowledge as I could. That was always great. Talking to the guys that are building the equipment, trying to, see what they got coming on. That was pretty cool. But really, to me, it was really spending time with you guys, getting to meet new people, different other people. I think that's, to me, was the best part. I think that's what Michael, the sod father, had talked about. And, really just seeing everybody, connecting with everybody, meeting new people, local vendors that are doing stuff, different companies that are trying to start new stuff. And that was, my first take on it. I'll probably be there next year again, be a little bit more prepared for sure.
How great was it, that as a collective, all of us that have been doing what we've been doing for as long as we've been doing it, we spent time together there and we were like the gang. And
Yes, sir.
it was cool, because every time we're like, oh, hey, we're running the, battery power company. And they're like, oh, that's so deep. What do you guys do? And this is my buddy from, he also runs this company in this town and that town. And it was like, it was awesome, man. It was like, felt like we should have had like some Harley jackets or something.
Oh man, maybe next time we'll have some shirts or something. It says,
There you go.
Definitely.
Yeah, part of that coalition.
Some ELCP.
Electric Lawn Crew gang,
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's talk about equipment for a couple minutes here. What was the single most exciting piece of equipment each of you saw at the expo? So let's start with you, William.
I'm actually going to cheat and I'm going to take two. So single most exciting piece of equipment I saw from an electric perspective, Greenworks actually had a horizontal shaft power head to be able to replace the Honda 5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton 5 horsepower motor on pieces of equipment that haven't been converted electric. A lot of companies are coming out with their own. Bluebird's got the aerator. A lot of the things outside of mowing and hand tools are starting to come out. But that to me, and just kind of got the wheels spinning of what you could put that on and what maybe a company won't develop or other companies out there have developed and done well, that the body and the structure's there, that I can pop a motor onto that's electrified, already having the batteries to be able to convert it over. So that to me was super cool from an electric side.
So it's a motor that's designed specifically for like straight shaft, like string trimmers, but you can use it for other purposes. There's ways to modify it and possibly put it on other pieces of equipment.
So it's not actually designed for string trimmers. It's like a real motor. Like think of a Honda 5 horsepower motor that would be on a pressure washer, that would be on a
go-kart,
a Billy Goat.
So it's a bigger
blower.
motor then.
Yeah, it's like a real motor.
Would it fit on a 21-inch mower?
I'm not sure. I'm probably that you'd be able to drop it in.
Yeah, anything with a straight shaft.
Yeah, this is a horizontal. They haven't made a vertical. This is a horizontal.
But Ego, if I'm not mistaken, has a vertical one. They actually had it on a wood chipper. I forgot the name of the company that had it, but I do know that they already do this kind of overseas, like in the UK.
Oh, that's right, in Europe. Yeah. So we need more of that. More of the providers here to be able to take the battery infrastructure we have, or that we have them, to be able to put it on other units. Again, maybe you might not have a top dresser, or aerators are probably going to get there if you're not going to haul it or do something else like that. But you have gas equipment that you want to be able to convert over, or the motor's gone bad, but the carcass of it is still there. Having that from Greenworks is the one that I saw. Ego making it this great. Having it from those providers, that would, to me, was the coolest electric thing that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big gap that we need to fill. Being able to take some of this equipment that the manufacturers aren't willing to make the investment in yet, to really go full scale with it and be able to do it ourselves, taking that motor and be able to plug it in. That's fantastic.
I'm not letting you get rid of me yet, though, because the coolest non-electric thing I saw was called a cart mate. It went on the front of a stander. It can go on the front of a zero turn too, which is almost like a power buggy. So instead of spending the money to get one of those power buggies, that we've got a standard that we use, and I can see it even on a zero turn, especially as we're getting into leaf season, be able to take a bagger and dump it 3 or 4 times on the front of this before you have to haul it back to the trailer as you're picking leaves up or mulching them down, or regardless, just transporting mulch in the season to be able to take it and dump it in. A non-motorized, attached to the front of the piece of equipment you already have that has the battery in it to be able to get you around these big zero turns. I'm sure the Z has it as well. I think they have it on the back, but the cart mate that's universal for all the different manufacturers, that was super neat.
And they're local for us here in Maryland too, aren't they?
Yeah,
They are,
And,
yeah.
and to your point, Willem, I actually got to test one out during the fall season on my zero turn. The cool thing about mine is that it already had a receiving hitch already built into it. So it is just literally allowed me to just put it in and just pop in the pin. And I was able to use it for cleanups, which was pretty cool. One of the other reasons too that I kind of like the Greenworks setup with those receiving hitches in the front. So I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, but great point, Sean. You got to support the Maryland guys, right? It was very cool and neat to see the back of their trailer sitting there with a Maryland license plate. Walked over and talked to them for a couple minutes. Great guys, though. Look forward to meeting them back here in Maryland now too.
Awesome. What about you, Daniel? What was your favorite piece of equipment out there?
I thought the Greenworks trailer was pretty cool. Having that set up there kind of not opened my eyes, but I'm more like, man, I mean, it's expensive, right? But it's not, you can see where maybe some feedback from us or whatever they're seeing some in the industry, or like some of that feedback coming back with like DC to DC charging, which is very important to speed up the charging process. I think that was really cool. And then the next one would be the 8-minute charge time, right? Another DC to DC charger with, I think Crest, the company was, claiming 8 minutes of charge time.
Yeah, I saw a lot about that. What's the runtime on their batteries advertised at? Do you know?
Well, this is the answer you'll get from, I think, any electric company. It depends on the type of grass you're cutting.
Yeah.
But typically it'll be 40 minutes to 60 minutes, right?
Okay. So kind of in line with what the Ego stuff is right now.
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same. No one knows the chemistry. Out of everyone I talk to, no one knows the chemistry. There's only one guy in the whole company that knows the chemistry.
It's like magic batteries they got out there?
It might just be the DC to DC charging and then, some cooling agent.
It's essentially allowing it to charge faster without overheating and kind of burning up the battery.
Yeah. And any battery heat's your worst nightmare, right? So it's the reason why Teslas and, electric vehicles have coolants or coolers through their battery packs just because of that. But yeah, that's, those are the two things that I saw. Charge time, DC to DC. Maybe next time we'll see some more companies switching that to that. I think that is the faster route for commercial or residential lawn care, where you need to switch your batteries a lot quicker, and that's the fastest way to do it. So even with a stand-on, charging to stand-on, and I think Greenworks claims 3 hours or less if you're using their trailer, right? Because they're going from DC to DC. So those are the two things that I thought were really cool.
And with you being an advocate for, building your own on-the-go mobile charging, I mean, what do you think with I know they introduced some pricing. I mean, but how do you feel about that? Do you feel that, us folks that are already in the trenches are able to build those types of systems ourselves for more economical costs? Or, I mean, how do you feel about that in general?
I thought it was an overkill. I think this is made for your big companies that have the money to put a DC to DC charger at their facility, or if they have the money to pay somebody to go sit 30 minutes at a fast charger, EV charger. They won't be using a Tesla charger. I can tell you that much. I don't care what they say, but Tesla is a proprietary thing until they unlock it for everybody. But if you go to ChargePoint, use their rapid, chargers. Their battery bank, I believe, is 400 volts, so it can use a level 3 charger. Can you build that yourself? You can. It's expensive, and I think is an overkill process to the 48 volt packs they're using in their mowers. So you just get another 48 pack and get a 48 to 48 volt DC to DC charger, and regulate that to make that easier. That's the missing component here, right? I haven't seen one 48 to 48. But once you got that, you'll be able to make your own at a fraction of the price, especially for the size we're going for. Even for Brightview and them, but I think it's more work for them. You have to hire someone to do that work for them when they just buy the trailer and maybe get a tax credit or whatever they want to call it.
That's definitely who I was thinking of when I saw the Greenworks trailer out there. That looks like something for Brightview and big companies like that. I mean, it's pretty awesome. It's definitely going to help take the industry more towards electric in a bigger way. What about you, Steven?
Man, I'm with Dan. I was really blown away by the Greenworks setup. I think that cargo trailer was kind of a glimpse into the future of where our industry is headed. And they brought it. And to Dan's point, yes. Is it expensive? Yes. Is it practical for people like us that are running, smaller to mid-sized businesses that are doing, residential properties, etc.? Probably not. We've obviously been at this game long enough to where we all know how to build these setups ourselves. So we know that we can build these for, half or a third of the cost of what these were built for. But we're also a small group of people, right? We're a small group of folks that are focused on our industry. And this was an opportunity for Greenworks and the industry as a whole, the battery powered industry as a whole, to bring their A game and roll this thing out into people that are traditionally gas powered. Because this is a gas powered industry, and show these people, hey, there is a product. It can be done. We're doing it. This will get your work done. And there was no contest, right? There's nobody that walked into that Greenworks setup and could say, oh man, there's no way you could run this thing all day long. And they're like, oh, bullshit. And they'll show you, because it was just badass.
And the more people that get into it too, it's going to bring the price down on it.
Yeah. And I think the trailer was a little big, and that was my question. I met with the Greenworks guy who was kind of one of the Greenworks reps that was there, and we were talking about the setup, and I was wowed by all of it. It's like a car guy going into a Lamborghini dealership, and you're just looking at, you're like, oh my God, look at this. And it's got computer monitors everywhere, and it's like monitoring equipment and battery charging stations and these big, generator boxes on the walls and batteries and hangers, and just like everything is just perfectly stacked inside this trailer, and there's 1,200 watts of solar panels on the top of it, and the thing is just slick, like LED lights on the inside, and tie down hooks and everything. It was just a badass setup, man. And
it was,
and I loved it. And I'm not a Greenworks guy, but I'm an industry guy. And my question was, hey, when are you guys going to make one that's just a little bit smaller? When are you going to make like a 5x10, instead of this big 6x14? It was big.
Hey, stay tuned. You never know. Dan can build one for us.
I'll knock
They
them out.
absolutely will. And you know what? Not to discount, Steel had a really good trailer setup too. Their enclosed trailer setup was pretty badass. And I like the Steel equipment. I like the fact that they're using the one motor for everything, and everything past the motor is the original Steel equipment. So it's got the Steel build, but they just replaced the motor with an electric motor. That was it for me. When I saw that trailer from Greenworks, I'm like, oh my God, the future is here.
That's awesome. Jarmar, what about you, man? What did you take away on the equipment side?
Yeah, for me, I think probably if I would say the most exciting thing was, again, Crest with the battery charge time, 8 minutes or 16 minutes for, I think it's like an 11 or 12 amp battery. Probably the most exciting thing to me, and this talks on what Will was saying with the CartMate, the front hitch thing. For me, doing small residential here in Houston, was Greenworks 32 and 36 inch stand-on. Those mowers, for me, if you think about being able to pair that with something like a CartMate or something with like a front end, like Air Raider or something like that, you can take that price of that mower and really make this a full-time machine that does more than just cut grass, right? And being able to have that hitch on the front already for accessories, extensions, and things like that to make your mower just more versatile. I was like, this is the thing that we've been waiting on. Now, we thought what we all wanted was a 30-inch mower, push mower, but that was a bit underwhelming from that perspective. But I would probably say the most exciting thing in general was the Crest, the battery charging system, because they literally just kind of broke the mold. They set the standard, and as beneficial as that is not necessary. The most exciting thing for me in my business, thinking about its production, was the Greenworks 32, 36-inch stand-on mower. So for us, that's what we're looking at. And we're going to go back to the drawing board and figure out how we can make that work, or if it'll work for us in our own business. But for us, that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, it's all about cost recovery. And as you guys all know, with the cost of electric equipment, it's the most important thing for us in order to stay profitable. But thank you for sharing that. Now, with the smaller stand-ons, or I guess they're calling it their compact versions, did you get to test them out at all, or did you get to touch them, feel them, or anything like that?
No, they had their stand-ons out in the demo area. And so basically what they were saying is like, it's the same platform, right? It's just a little shrink down. So we did not get to use drive the actual 32, 36s, but they had the smaller ones, the 48s, the 60s, things like that, stand-ons out there. And basically what they were saying is just the same stuff. Now, they did have the 30-inch out there. Greenworks had a 30-inch mower that was out there. That stuff was just heavy, right? It was just kind of heavy. It was bulky. I think they said dry weight is 150 pounds or something like that. You throw some mowers on it and some batteries on it, and then you add, that adds on however many batteries, 8 amp hour batteries that you could throw on it. That just adds the weight to it. It probably should have some front casters on it and should probably go a little bit faster, but that's probably that oh-so thing in me, thinking about how fast those dang old mowers are. But we were able to test those, but we're not able to test the smaller 32, 36. Now, they did say that they're supposed to be ready in February. Now, I looked them in the eye. Nobody would look me square in the eye, man, mano y mano, and tell me I can get my hands on one in February.
They'll never do that.
But the marketing team, yeah.
That's a big deal. I mean, I think that's really important. Like, that's kind of my question mark for all of this stuff coming out of there is, you need it to be ready at the beginning of the season so you can plan and build around it. And so trying to pin them down on timelines, I think is going to be pretty important, pretty telling for how next year goes.
I think that, was it Ronnie with the Crest backpack blower?
Yeah, that Crest backpack blower was off the chain too. But let me say something else. This is probably I know you said it's most exciting, but this is probably my third most exciting product. And that's the warranties. We finally start seeing warranties that at least give us some semblance of you stand behind your product, right? Even Ego said that they're taking their battery commercial warranties from 1 year to 2 years. That's not a lifetime, but that's better than 1 year. We already knew that Makita had a good 3-year warranty, but Greenworks, their stand-on mower has a 5-year warranty.
Yeah.
Which, 2,000 hour, 5-year. But it was interesting to me is their 30-inch push mower only had a 2-year warranty. And so I was like, well, so that leaves me a little bit of pause. But you got somebody like Crest with these bold claims of being able to charge a battery in 8 and 16 minutes, having a warranty for 6 years. That's nuts.
That's huge.
That really means that they believe that their technology is solid, right? And if it's not, that they're going to stand behind it. And I even think Mean Green even increased their deal too.
Yeah, they increased to 3-year battery, and then I believe 5-year everything else. I believe we have to check that. But one note on that, on those 33 or 36 and 32 from, and I believe their whole lineup, their Optimus Z lineup, they have ETOs on the front of them, so you can hook up accessories to the front of those. I think 10 kilowatt hour on the front of that, up to 10 kilowatt hours. I'm assuming that's just based on the battery you get. It's Greenworks.
Those are Greenworks. But you know something funny about that is that, so I ordered a 48-inch, the CZ model, which was their previous model before the Optimus line that just got launched. And it had an ETO switch too. I had pre-ordered that cable and I still haven't seen it. So they launched it and I got to test it, but I never got my hands on it.
Ouch.
Never.
So don't put the $100 in it? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I'm assuming that at this point they should have plenty in stock. Outside of equipment, what else did you guys take away from the show that really gets you guys going, motivated? I know that you guys talked about, some of the tools you've seen, some of the changes in the industry for the electric side of things. But I know that you, Stephen, and Jarmar, you guys were interested in looking at meeting with folks for software and things of that nature. So just curious to hear, and maybe we could start with you, Daniel, just some of the other things that excited you outside of just equipment.
I think for me, outside of equipment, I did see, Field Routes software. That was pretty interesting to kind of run us through the software CMR overall. That looked pretty cool. To me, it was more being with the guys, right? Seeing our team getting out there, first time being, I think like Ronnie and Joel's first time being on a plane, seeing them to get the experience on the plane, getting them out of Florida. I believe that was their first time getting out of Florida. So that was also pretty good, having that camaraderie with the guys, hanging out, having a couple of days together, just not talk about really work at work, but really just have a good time out there, learn, absorb. Seemed like Joel learned a lot, Ronnie learned a lot. So I think that's what, to me, excited me the most, seeing our team motivated coming back from it. And they're ready to hit the streets harder than they did last year. So that's what I saw.
That's awesome. So motivation and networking were important pieces. Thank you for sharing that. How about you, Stephen?
Same. I'm going to echo what Dan says. I think it was all about just the camaraderie hanging out with everybody that was there. You guys spending time together. You know, man, like I said, I wish it was next week. I wish we could do that every week. It'd be great.
Yeah, and was it true one of you guys were like dancing on some sort of platform or table while you guys were at one of the concerts?
Yeah, that was probably Dan. You know, I really enjoyed going in to just get a beer with Dan and Ronnie and his crew. And for some reason or another, I ended up spending $100 and buying those two guys pizza.
$100 on pizza?
Hey, $100 on pizza. We don't know what happened.
I walked in the theater already at dinner, and I'm like, you know what? I'll come in there with y'all guys and have a beer. Next thing you know, it was like, well, Dad's here. Let's order pizza.
That's for sure. We're like, hey, he's here. He can take care of it. That's no problem.
I know those guys are young, so they probably ordered more than just 2 pizzas.
Oh, that was fun, man.
You know, that EcoMow brand, man, you got money to throw around. You're fine.
Hey, you know what, man, too, the Eco event we all went to, that was a good time, man. I really enjoyed that. The food was great. You know, I told those guys, I said, hey, man, the crew's coming with me, man. And we went there, and I think I had a few old fashions because you're in Louisville, Kentucky. What else are you going to do? Bourbon capital of the world, I guess. So
It's so appropriate. So appropriate.
you know what else was really cool that Michael kind of looped us in on was that social networking event that we all went to. If you guys remember that, that was fun, man. And they had like their own, you know, homemade brandy that they make at this place. And yeah, that was a good time.
Who all was there? Who was participating in the social media event?
I mean, the whole gang was there. Are you talking about social media people? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't care about you guys. I want to know who else was there.
We were in the building. We were in the building. But honestly, a lot of these guys are building businesses that we're not trying to build, right? I mean, I know some of the guys are here, but like for most of us, it seems like most of us are building businesses where we are building an actual business and not just kind of like a solo entrepreneur type deal or just like a one truck type deal. For me, it was really talking to the bigger guys that really set it off. And like I said, me and Steven walked around, we were grilling guys on the software stuff.
Yeah, we were.
Right?
That's really what I wanted to get into is I know from chatting with you guys since you got back, there's been a lot of chatter about the software. I use Jobber personally in my business. I'm pretty happy with it. You know, I've noticed some limitations as I'm growing here a little bit, but I would really like to know what you guys saw on the software side of things, like how companies can help you grow your business.
Yeah, so I use Jobber as well, and I'm a big fan of Jobber. I use it a little bit differently than most. I think we've talked about it before. I use a subscription model here, so it's, you know, first of the month, everybody gets their credit card run like a Netflix bill, right? If that credit card goes through, we show up. If it don't, well, hey, we'll holler at you.
Jarmar, I've seen some of your quotes that you send out. I mean, the way you choose Jobber is pretty incredible. I mean, I think we could have a whole podcast on that.
I will definitely second that for sure.
I appreciate it, man. But I love technology, right? Obviously, I think all of us love technology. We wouldn't be in the forefront taking these arrows in our back trying to build these electric lawn mowing businesses. But yeah, so I do use Jobber, but I have found that though it saves me a lot of time in many areas, there is that difficulty of getting data out that I need. How much money, how much revenue, how many budgeted hours is this crew producing here this day? When I bring in, let's say 5, 10, if I had to bring in 20 new customers like in a week, the system breaks, right? It's just more time consuming, right? And so I would have to spend so much time setting people up, getting them all together. They have many beautiful things, and they say they have reports, and they have a few reports, but the reports that we need to be efficient, to run tight routes, to dispatch people quickly, it's not there. And so we've talked about it before, we use P4P for our pay for performance, for our pay structure, and it's a little bit difficult getting out, you know, what each crew have done for the day to pay them appropriately. So it's little things like that. And so we saw a lot of big enterprise level softwares out there that let you do a lot of cool things. Here's my beef with most of them. Most of them put you in a walled garden and they don't let you integrate with other softwares that do things amazingly, right? So if I wanted to use, let's say, a HubSpot for my CRM and, you know, feed people through that and then, you know, utilize my landscape software or my lawn service software to go out and bill and things like it's very difficult to find anybody that allows you to do that, right? They all want to be your everything. And I come from a background where you just don't want to be sharecropping with these folks because they could just shut you down and they own the data. And if nobody's ever told anybody, I'm going to tell you right now, we're in the business of collecting customers and collecting customer data, right? Because our biggest asset is our ability to connect with those customers one-on-one. So if I have a new product and I have a list or database of 500 customers, I can launch just about anything in my local area, right? And make money. It's our own ATM machines. But these bigger enterprise companies, they are trying to hold all that data for you and not let you get it out, so to speak. And so, that's kind of my hesitation. But anyway, we got a lot of demos lined up. We have Synced Up and the Service Autopilot and Field Routes. And I think Real Green has one. I forgot what their sub deal is called. But there's a lot of good ones out there for us. And we just we're gonna figure out which one's gonna work for us to build big businesses efficiently.
Yeah, and you know what, man, that's a really good point too, because you had mentioned that with them kind of being boxed into one area, and I like that about Synced Up. When we were talking to them, Jarmar and I we spent the better part of probably 4 hours visiting with these software guys, and we went through them all, and we just went hammering with them with questions. And hey, demo. I mean, we had like 4 1-hour demos probably. And, I was really impressed with Synced Up when we met with them because, they're doing an open API platform on their back end side. So everything ties into QuickBooks. And they came from a standpoint of, hey, QuickBooks does this really well. We're not here to reinvent the wheel. So we're just going to do everything on the front end. And then you're going to tie all your back end stuff into QuickBooks. We're not going to try to redo what somebody else has already done really, really, really good. And, I appreciated that coming into it. We don't use QuickBooks until it comes tax time. But, in our software system, we've got all of our back end stuff. But when it comes tax times, we're rolling everything up into QuickBooks and dealing with it there. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Jarmar, man. I mean, nothing really wowed us. Nothing really jumped out at us and said, this is it. This is the solution. It was like everybody had this little thing, LMN had their really cool setup. We got a demo scheduled with them. Great for what we do because we've got a good blend of maintenance and landscaping. And we need help with pricing and estimating and cost management and all that stuff pertaining to our landscaping side of our business. So we're kind of looking for that dual platform software. And I mentioned to you guys in the last podcast, that's what I was really looking for at this show was, that right solution for what we do. And unfortunately, man, Jarmar and I think him and I both, we had lunch after we went and met with all these guys and we just said, man, I'm going to just go ahead and stick with what I have right now because I haven't really seen anything that made me compelled to switch.
Well, hopefully these folks do start to take notice on what you guys were asking for. And I mean, I think that the way of the future is open API. I think for not just in this industry, I think across the board. I mean, we've seen a lot of big companies adapt to that. And it is definitely the way of the future, having some sort of marketplace where you can kind of interconnect different technologies together. I could definitely see the benefit to that. Now, we haven't heard from you, William. So we've got really expensive pizzas. We got drinks. We've got hours and hours on software. So what were your big takeaways outside of just, looking at the equipment itself?
Yeah. So, I mean, a couple of them been hit on, right? The networking piece, getting to connect, getting to go to these different vendors with the group, with all of us. There was different questions that everyone asked. Some of them you heard and be like, oh, didn't even think of that. That's a great thing, or a different angle that they're approaching what they're looking at. So being able to do it with our team really, that all has the same goal in mind, but coming at it from different angles to ask these folks different questions is great. Because every one of us can go schedule our own hour demo, but doing it to hear how others are thinking about it, that was awesome. I know you talked about the influencer sessions and Energize and some of those pieces. It was neat, and I forget which person said it on stage, but investing $10,000 into one of these mowers is great, but it isn't going to gain us necessarily a single new customer versus investing that same $10,000 into marketing, knowing our customer acquisition costs, growing out our business, doing it profitably. So to be able to make sure that remains at the forefront of a focus for growing a profitable, sustainable business, which is what we all want to do, and obviously doing it from the angle that we care about. The equipment's going to enable us and help us to get there. We all probably aren't going to buy $70,000 trailers tomorrow, right? Not right for our business. We're going to size it and build it the right way. But I'd say a big, long way to say, definitely networking as well, approaching it from a different angle. And all the new flashy toys, again, just like go into this to see a view into the future, even where folks are now, to start to think about where those gaps are, what are we missing? What could we either innovate on or iterate on to be able to grow that, to make us more successful, that can make the collective group, whether it's us or other folks in the business, doing it from the electric side. That to me was the two coolest pieces outside of just checking out some cool gear.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, just a couple thoughts in general. I mean, we have kind of spearheaded, as Jarmar said earlier, kind of taking all the shots in our backs and pioneering the electric and, going in that route. And I know that this year's in Equip, it was a big focus on showing those people who are still using gas-powered equipment that it does have a potential to switch and have all-day runtime. But it's just crazy. How many times did you guys hear someone say, but does it have all-day runtime?
What's interesting about all-day runtime, I know, Jarmar, you actually talked about the stand-on from Greenworks and the price point there. Mean Green launched one as well, but it had an 11 kilowatt-hour battery in it and was $20-some thousand, where the Greenworks was like 11. For residential business, we don't need something with that big of a battery. And I think they're working on it. I think they're figuring it out. Similar to, I'm not going to run an 8 amp hour battery in a string trimmer because it's way too heavy and not going to work. So all day runtime for self-contained batteries and what all day runtime means for a commercial business versus a residential business is definitely two different things. And all day runtime, and Dan, I know you have plenty of stories of this, but all day runtime for what you need for handhelds. Many of the vendors I met with, I said, if it's a 2-year warranty, I want to beat the heck out of your batteries, know that I need 6 of them, 8 of them, 10 of them, whatever it is, and cycle them through. Then buy 15 of them, have 4 as a backup in case I don't make it through the day on those 6, and figure out the charging. So I think all day runtime for big batteries, a lot of what Mean Green's doing might be over engineering for our purposes. I think a smaller battery's coming, hopefully. Greenworks obviously is doing the same, versus all day runtime on hand tools. Just a little the way that I approached it when I was talking to folks.
William, I think you hit the nail on the head there, man. I mean, you brought something to light to me that I've never really, quite honestly, I hadn't thought about. And, I'm thinking, okay, all day runtime. And if you've got one battery that, or 2 batteries that you can cycle and charge in 8 minutes time, 16 minutes time, there's your all day runtime.
Yeah, so true. So true.
That's your time between properties. That's
yeah, and keeping the weight down. It does come down to that. On the string trimmers and the hand tools that we're using, the little handheld blowers, string trimmers, the stick, the stick edgers, things like that. Obviously, we all know, having done this for a while, that if I can run a 2.5 amp battery in any of those machines, that's what I'm going to do from a weight perspective.
Yeah, I think all day battery life is a joke. You don't need it. Most of the gas power stuff also is not all day runtime, right? You have to fill it up a couple times, once or twice through your day. Electric equipment, you might have to cycle that a little bit more, maybe 2-3 times, but it depends on your crew size. If you're running 6 guys, you need different batteries, right? More batteries, or, just like you need more gas. That's the way I see it. And I did see a little bit more that Eagle's changing, and I think Crest and a lot of the other big manufacturers are changing, is giving you a little bit more power on demand as you wish you want the power. You have levels that you can switch through on a lot of the newer tools. So it's one thing I did see. But yeah, all day runtime, you need 2 batteries, and one's always charging, right? ABC.
Always be charging, baby.
That's the motto.
Remember when we were all at the Crest tent outside and we were checking out that massive charger? Dan, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I seen that. That's that big, what was it, 100 amp hour charger?
Thing was huge, man.
It was huge.
15 G's, baby. 15 G's. It could be yours.
100 amp hours, 15 G's. Hey, that's not bad.
What I was going to say earlier, I think I had some lag in my video, was Ronnie nailed the weight of the backpack blower. He goes, this thing feels like it weighs 22 pounds. And the guy said, well, as a matter of fact, it does.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Yeah, that Crest backpack blower was awesome. Now, they didn't have them.
Yeah, it was super quiet.
Man, it was super. It had a cool little pitch to it, like it has like a cone filter inside the unit, and I think they're all starting to do that now.
Yeah, they have a cone filter with like a foam padding right inside to keep that noise down. Very quiet. All their equipment was very quiet, which was very impressive. It made them sound like not strong, but once you got it on, start testing it, it was a lot stronger than it sounded.
That backpack battery almost blew me over. Now, I'm 148 pounds, but that sucker was pretty strong. So yeah, they did that.
The good thing is they did it right too. You could also apply their handheld batteries on that too. So if you don't, unless you're doing a big cleanup, you can throw one of the smaller batteries on there and kind of reduce the weight.
So kind of recapping things a little bit, it sounds like On the equipment side of things, we've got some faster battery charging, some more charging options, a lot more size options on the mowers coming out next year. Certainly, it'll be kind of a wait and see game on the timing and some of the pricing on some of these things. As far as software goes, it sounds like there's definitely some opportunities out there for anybody looking to problem solve and help us work through some more solutions and make this and that's more industry wide, really, not just specific to the electric side of things. Looks like you guys had a great time. Anything anybody wants to add here at the end about the Equip Expo and reasons to go for next year?
Yeah, I will absolutely be there. If nothing more than, if we don't get a chance to see each other, it gives me a reason to see all you guys for a week and walk around together and just have a good time. We've all got questions, man. We've all got struggles doing the things that we do. None of us have the answers. We're all searching for the answers. And it's such a good experience to be with everybody. And, Michael put it into perspective. He said, this is going to be one of the best investments that you can make. And I walked away with a lot of information that just goes beyond specifically, just things pertaining to electric and what we're doing. It gave me a better perspective on the industry as a whole and where the rest of the industry is moving and where we stand as a business, EcoMow in Dallas, and what we need to do to continue to stay ahead of the curve. We know the competition and the competition's coming, and it's okay.
Well, that's a great point. How long do we have before these gas guys figure out that electric's the future?
I don't know that it really matters. There's so much business to be had where if everybody in Dallas, was operating on electric power, really it just comes down to your ability to market and sell your business versus anybody else. There's no difference. There never really was. So being that we're an electric company might get your foot in the door, but if you're not a good business and a reliable company, then you're not going to keep your foot in the door. So,
Amen.
It's only a matter of time before everybody gets here. And I will absolutely be there next year. I know we're all going to see each other probably mid next year before Equip for our little conference that we're going to be putting together, the ELCP conference. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about some other people getting on board with us. And, people need to jump on our Instagram. Check us out.
Right on.
We're pushing stuff out on Instagram. We got our little Facebook page working. There's a lot of people that, we want to share some information with and, people that are smarter than us that we want to hear from. So, yeah, my mind's a sponge, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just building off of your point, Steven. I mean, we'll certainly be back next year. Certainly excited about it. I think that networking in the approach of going to solve the problems and the solutions we need, not having the vendors tell me what problems I have. A lot of the marketing there was feature function and what it does, not how it helps my customer, how it delights or improves my customer's life. Maybe how it saves me time, which makes me more profitable, which is great. But I think how it delights and makes our customer successful is something that is the mindset I went in with and will continue to approach all of these with. And then the second piece I'll tack onto what you said there, Stephen, was the abundance mindset in this industry. It was amazing and awesome how willing everyone is to share, whether they're your neighbor 4 zip codes over or whether they're halfway across the country or just down the street and doing commercial and or residential or design build versus maintenance work. I think we all realize that it's still humans doing work and us with our hands. And to have 100 lawns, it's 2 guys in a crew. To have 1,000, it's 10 guys, and 20 guys to have 2,000 lawns. Like the amount of people you need to be able to do it, build a successful business. We can all build pretty good fiefdoms with a good crew around us. That there could be someone, again, 5 streets over that's doing the same thing and still having success. And it's great that everyone's willing. And I think we're doing a great job of it here to share what works, not because we're trying to keep it to ourselves and win against everyone else, but because we know that we're able to work together and it's going to help everyone. Back to my main point, delight our customers, which is really what we're in this business to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will definitely be back. I'm more interested in seeing how it changes for us as we become a different company. The things that I took away primarily this year was a belief level. My belief level has skyrocketed, just kind of seeing other people doing this thing. And then also just really seeing where the industry going, like Steven said, like we can see where they're going and we can see the actual investment that they're putting in. And for me, I've always had one foot on the brake another one halfway on the gas building Peaceful Lawn and Garden. And so what it has allowed me to do is say, you know what, we're going to take this foot off the brakes and we're going to let it rip because the industry is coming. And now I love my ego, right? But when you get to running these things a lot, we start running through these little plastic wheels, right? And so to see new mowers coming that are beefed up, they're giving us real rubber tires and no flats and mowers that can run and really take a brunt of daily abuse, that was exciting to me. And so I think we're going to see a different Peaceful Lawn and Garden the next time we come around. And so I'm excited about that because my belief level has gone up to the next level. And I'm so ready to see where everybody else in the clan and the group is at that time as well.
Speaking of that daily abuse, I got a lot of quotes to get out here tonight. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So thank you to everybody for coming in tonight. Glad you all had a great time at the Equip Expo. And I look forward to joining you all next week. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. And we look forward to hear from you. Cheers. Thank you all.
And don't forget, always be charging.
Always be charging.
Always be charging. ABC, baby.
Thanks for listening to Electric Lawn Talk. Don't miss the next episode. Be sure to subscribe, and while you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review.